Hey everyone, today I built an amphibious car in brick rigs. It was certainly a challenge and I had a lot of fun doing it. Starting with the frame here, I decided to have a little more fun with the frame because usually it's just a flat rectangle on the ground, nothing much. But this time I decided to have it curve up so that it's hopefully a little more obvious that when you're just looking at it, you can see, yes, that's a boat. Of course, it's not really the best way of conveying that, but really the best way of conveying that is just putting it in water and seeing it float. While there isn't anything that really needs explaining here, I would just like to say sorry for not posting for 5 months, I think it is. I'd have to check, but I don't really have a very good excuse, just didn't really finish any projects, so nothing was able to get uploaded. But I am thinking of getting more creative with what I'm posting, such as just playing the game. Like playing brick rigs, or this is another game called Townscaper, which I've thought about recording. I'm really gonna need some thoughts on this one, but that's also gonna depend on if anyone actually gets this far in the video. Alright, here we are getting into the front of the build more, and I decided to go for a more hammerhead feel, because I kind of like the feel that it just created, really, and I think it made it look really cool in the end, and I'm really glad I went for this, because, to be honest, if I didn't, I don't think the front would be able to look as good as it has, and I'm just really glad my brain decided to work for a moment there. Getting the front headlights on was also quite a challenge because I decided to make it horizontal, and later on I go into the experimental version of brick rigs where the lights are a lot better. I basically had to put on fake lights and then put real lights behind them so that the fake lights light up, but the real lights are the ones that actually do the lighting, which is obviously really important because you kind of need to see at night. Getting towards the back here, I decided that I wanted it to sort of cover the back wheels, but not fully, so that it would look at least a little more aerodynamic while it's in the water, and hopefully just look less like a car in the water. And I think it works. past the wheels, I decided to slope it up until the propeller, which will be put on shortly, I believe. And I did eventually have to make this shorter because the propeller kept hitting the ground, which is a problem. And in case I forgot to mention that, yes, it is propeller powered, and it's weird to drive a propeller car. Unlike a normal car, they always want to go forward no matter what. Like, it doesn't matter what wheels are in what direction, it's going to go the way the propeller wants it to go. And the wheels can't really do as much as they could otherwise. Getting the propeller on was honestly one of the hardest parts of the project, mostly because, as you can just see, I did experiment with two propellers so that it could counter the torque it would create. That didn't work out, so now as you can see, I just have one on. Since the propeller was so high in the vehicle, when it floated in water, it needed to float quite high so that the propeller wouldn't, one, hit the water too hard, and two, so that it wouldn't hit the ground when you were trying to get out. But those two things both didn't really work out for a while. I had to make sure the vehicle sat quite high in the water, and when going out, no matter what, you pretty much have to go out at an angle or go in at an angle, otherwise you're breaking the propeller or flinging your vehicle across the water because of how much torque the propellers have in this game. Here, I've decided to put the rear lights besides the tail lights on the propeller because this way, it's just a lot easier to get them on, and I don't know if it would actually be legal in real life, but in most Brick Rig servers, I think it would be legal. It really depends on the server though, of course. But I also later on gave it some red glow behind the propeller, so that it at least looks like it has lights that aren't on the propeller, so that way, if it's not realistic enough or if it's not if it's not legal, then it would still kind of be legal because of that glow. Alright, now we're taking the propeller off just so that we can weigh it and figure out how heavy the counterweight needs to be. And the reason I'm making the counterweight is because the propeller is going to have a lot of torque on the vehicle, so making a counterweight is going to be a big help. But one problem is that, one, it doesn't really have any aerodynamics, so it doesn't really care what the air is like around it, unlike the propeller. And it also just, even though it's the same weight, it's going to spin for longer because all of its mass is in the center, which just makes it spin faster and for longer, I believe. Now getting into the more technical side of the build, I wanted to put some flaps on the side initially for more stabilization, but later on it ended up being more of a step up than actually helping at all in stabilization, which is a little bit of a bummer, but I'm still glad it looks good with it, despite that fact, and I think it's turned out great, to be honest. And here we are making the rudder as well, which honestly does nothing, pretty much. It does have the aerodynamics, it does try to do something, but it does nothing. Like, it certainly tries, I won't deny that, but the reason it does nothing is just, it doesn't have enough force in the vehicle, and it just doesn't do much. So what I ended up having to do is just, the propeller can turn itself, but you can... there's a feature in this game where you can just make certain axles only turn at certain points, so that I just configure that, and now it works, and can turn in water, which is great. Now here I'm just concealing the counterweight so that it's not as obvious, and I decided to make it kind of look like maybe either the motor or maybe like a bucket for the fish or something, since, you know, boat goes on water. I think it turned out great. Like, if you didn't know it had a counterweight, you probably wouldn't know why it was there, really. You just think it's for decoration. And, I mean, it kinda is, but you know what I mean. I think it turned out great, and hit it perfectly. This is the point where I switched over to the new experimental 1.3. I was also having this problem where it was flipping so easily, and I just could not get it to not flip so easily, no matter how low I tried to get the weight. So I had to widen the wheelbase so that it wouldn't flip over, and it did work, but it still flips over quite a bit. We're coming to an end now of the time lapse, so I think it's time we go into Brick Rigs and check it out. First thing I want to test is going to be the straight line speed. And now, actually before that, the gears in this actually work more like speed controllers. So 1 is the slowest, 2 is the medium, and 3 is the fastest. Which is actually quite useful, but since we just want to go as fast as possible, I'm just going to put it in 3rd gear and release. I also made quite a few tweaks that I didn't include. I don't remember if that wing is included in the time lapse, but it is there now. I also added mirrors, of course. That's all I can think off the top of my head. I think I made some. Oh yeah, I of course got that license plate. Other than that, that's about it. I think may have made some adjustments to some other stuff. And here you can see we're hitting 354 kilometers an hour. I don't know what that is in miles per hour off the top of my head, but I know it's quite fast. Actually, let's do a brake test now. Let's see how that goes. Pretty fast, actually. It is stopping there for a second, too. Next, we're going to test its handling on both land and water. So of course we're on the canyon map with water in front. Now I'm just gonna try going in with no angle to it and see how this goes. This is quite okay, maybe this isn't the best spot. Okay, we did it though. We did it. I don't know if this is how well this is gonna go. Ooh, yeah, that's why you gotta go on a diagonal. Oh, nothing broke though. Oh no, it's shaking. Something broke. I'm gonna try to stop it. Oh yep, it broke for sure. You can see the glow is broken off. It's not a lot of weight, but it's still enough to start throwing it around. So let's restart here. Let's go in from an angle. Now, still gonna have to be a little careful, but other than that, like, Oh, lower the suspension, and I did not have a chance to see how it would affect other things. So I'm gonna. The thing is, though, I think it needs to be this low, otherwise it just flips too easily. What I could try is going in backwards. Oh, there we go. We're in the water. Now, I'm pretty sure I mentioned this in the time lapse, but the front does dip a little into the water when you're going forward. I really try to mitigate that. As you can see, the front is actually higher than the back. But once you start going forward, because the center of mass is lower than its center of thrust, you get this going on. Still not that bad to drive. It still works. So the headlights work as well. The blinkers and everything. As you can see, that's how the tail lights work. See, I think it looks pretty cool. I'm not sure if it's going to show up as well after YouTube's had its fun with it. It lights up pretty cool when you brake. Yeah, of course, the license plate is just matched numbers, and of course, the finish date. No, so this is an issue. Now, those flaps as I put on the time lapse, yeah, those don't help much. All they really do is help for getting in. Now, you can't swim on them, but you can get in and then get out and then jump onto the back that way. Kind of unintuitive, but hey, it's the best we got. Now, it is actually quite nice, if I were to say so myself. If I saw this in a public server, I would honestly want it myself. I would probably ask where they got it from, if they remember, because this is honestly sick. I love it. It's definitely up there on my best creations, I think.